He knocked on the door holding divorce papers. She opened it holding 2 newborn babies. His babies. The ones he didn't know existed. 9 months ago, he walked away, destroyed her with accusations, believed his family's lies, called her a traitor. She never told him she was pregnant. Now he knows. And the most powerful man in the underground has just realized he destroyed the only thing that ever mattered. Can a man who controls empires win back the woman who no longer needs him? The rain fell like judgment. Cold, relentless, washing nothing clean. Jaewon stood outside the small apartment building, staring at the cracked concrete steps leading to a door he once walked through without hesitation. Back when it was his door. Their door. Back when he believed she was his forever. Now it was just hers. And he was here to make that permanent. The envelope in his hand was heavy. Heavier than it should have been. Inside were the divorce papers, signed on his end, waiting for her signature. Waiting to erase what was left of them. His lawyer had prepared everything. Clean, simple, final. He told himself this was mercy. Letting her go. Letting her move on from the man who had called her a liar, a cheater, a betrayer. The man who had thrown her love back in her face and walked away without looking back. His family had been so sure. The photos, the messages, the evidence that she'd been seeing someone else. His mother's tears, his brother's anger, the whispers through the organization that Jaewon's wife had made a fool of him. He'd believed them. God, he'd believed them. And he'd shattered her. The memory still burned. Her face, the way she'd looked at him that last night, not crying, not begging, just hollow. Like he'd reached inside her chest and pulled out everything that made her alive. "You won't even let me explain," she'd whispered. "There's nothing to explain," he'd said. Cold. Brutal. I saw enough. She hadn't fought him. She'd just nodded and watched him leave. That was 9 months ago. Jaewon exhaled slowly, his breath misting in the cold air. He adjusted the collar of his black coat and climbed the steps. His bodyguards waited by the car at the curb, silent shadows in tailored suits. He'd told them to stay back. This was something he had to do alone. He reached the door, raised his hand, hesitated. "Just knock. Hand her the papers. Leave. You don't owe her anything anymore." He knocked. 3 times. Firm, final. Silence. Then footsteps. Soft. Slow. The door opened, and Jaewon's entire world stopped. She stood there. Soo-min. His Soo-min. Thinner than he remembered. Exhausted shadows beneath her eyes. Hair pulled back in a loose knot. Wearing an oversized sweater and sweatpants. No makeup, no jewelry. Nothing like the woman he'd married. The one who used to glow when she smiled at him. But that wasn't what froze him. It was what she held in her arms. 2 tiny bundles wrapped in soft blankets. 2 small faces. Sleeping. Newborns. Jaewon's mouth went dry. His heartbeat stumbled. The envelope slipped from his fingers and hit the ground. Soo-min's eyes widened slightly when she saw him. Surprise flickered across her face. Then something harder. Something colder. She shifted the babies carefully in her arms, her body instinctively turning as if to shield them. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was quiet, flat, empty of everything she used to give him. Jaewon couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. His eyes locked on the babies, 2 of them, newborns. How old? Days? Weeks? His mind raced backward. 9 months since he'd left her. 9 months since he'd last touched her. Last kissed her. Last shared a bed with her. 9 months? The exact length of a pregnancy? No. No. His gaze snapped up to hers. "Soo-min, you need to leave." She stepped back, already closing the door. "Wait." He shot his hand out, stopping the door. His voice cracked. "Are they—" "Leave, Jaewon." "Are they mine?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Sumin's jaw tightened. Her eyes, those soft, warm eyes he used to drown in, were ice now. She looked at him the way she might look at a stranger. No. Worse. The way she might look at someone who'd hurt her beyond repair. "It doesn't matter," she said. "It does. You made your choice 9 months ago." Her voice didn't rise, didn't break. It was steady, terrifyingly steady. "You decided I was a liar, a cheater. You decided I wasn't worth believing. So no, Jaewon, it doesn't matter. Sumin, please, go home to your family." She looked down at the babies in her arms. Her expression softened. Just a fraction. Just enough to destroy him. "We're not yours anymore." She closed the door. The lock clicked, and Jaewon stood there, in the rain, staring at the closed door, at the divorce papers on the wet ground, at the life he'd just discovered, the life he'd abandoned without knowing. His knees felt weak. His chest felt crushed. He pressed his palm flat against the door. "Sumin." No answer. "Sumin, please." Nothing. He closed his eyes. And for the first time in 9 months, Jaewon felt something crack inside him that he didn't know how to fix. Behind him, one of his bodyguards approached cautiously. "Sir? Is everything—" "Find out everything," Jaewon said quietly. His voice was hollow, shaking. "Everything about her, the pregnancy, the birth, the twins. I want hospital records, witnesses, dates, everything." "Yes, sir." Jaewon opened his eyes. The door remained closed. But he wasn't leaving. Not this time. Not ever again. Jaewon didn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse office overlooking the city, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected his hollow expression back at him. The lights of the metropolis stretched endlessly below. His kingdom, his empire, the world he controlled with a word, a look, a signature. None of it meant anything. On his desk sat a file. Thick, detailed, assembled in less than 12 hours by his most trusted men. Everything about Sumin's last 9 months. He'd read it 3 times. Each time felt like drowning. Patient name, An Sumin. Admission date, 8 months ago. Reason, pregnancy complications, threatened miscarriage. Patient admitted alone. No emergency contact listed. She'd almost lost them. Almost lost the babies, his babies. And she'd been alone. No family, no husband, no one. Because he had left her. Jaewon's hand trembled as he turned the page. Delivery date, 12 days ago. Delivery type, emergency C-section complications, severe hemorrhaging. Patient required transfusion. Twins, boy and girl, healthy. Mother stabilized. He stopped breathing. She'd almost died. Giving birth to his children. Alone. While he'd been sitting in board meetings. Closing deals. Pretending his life was fine. Pretending he hadn't ripped his own heart out the night he walked away from her. His phone buzzed. A message from his second-in-command. DNA results confirmed. 99.9% match. They're yours. Jaewon closed his eyes. He already knew. He'd known the moment he saw them. The shape of the boy's nose. The girl's tiny fingers curling in sleep. The way Sumin had held them. Protective. Fierce. Like she'd fight the entire world to keep them safe. Even from him. Especially from him. A knock at the door. "Come in." His brother entered. Minho, 2 years younger, sharper, colder. The one who'd brought him the evidence of Sumin's betrayal. The one who'd pushed hardest for Jaewon to end the marriage. "You've been here all night," Minho said, closing the door behind him. "The meeting with the southern branch. Cancel it." Minho frowned. "Hyung, you can't just—" "I said cancel it." Jaewon's voice was quiet. Deadly quiet. The kind of quiet that made men twice his size step back. "Cancel everything for the next week." Minho's eyes narrowed. "What's going on?" Jaewon looked up at him. And for the first time in his life, His younger brother saw something he'd never seen before. Fear. I need you to tell me the truth, Jaewon said slowly. About Soo Min. About the evidence you brought me. The photos. The messages. The man she was supposedly seeing. Minho's expression didn't change. We went over this. Tell me the truth. Silence. Long. Heavy. Minho's jaw tightened. She betrayed you. No. Jaewon stood, slowly, his height, his presence, filling the room like a storm. No, she didn't. Because if she had, she wouldn't have been 7 months pregnant with my children when I left her. She wouldn't have almost died giving birth to them alone. She wouldn't have kept them hidden from me. Minho said nothing. She would have told me, Jaewon continued, his voice breaking. She would have used the pregnancy to manipulate me, to keep me, to secure her place. But she didn't. Because she wasn't lying. She never lied. Hyung! Who was he? Jaewon's voice was ice. The man in the photos. Who was he really? Minho looked away. And Jaewon understood. Everything. You set her up. Minho's silence was answer enough. Jaewon moved before he could think. His hand shot out, gripping his brother's collar, slamming him back against the wall. Minho didn't resist, didn't fight. Just stared back at him with cold, unapologetic eyes. Why? Jaewon's voice shook. Why? Because she made you weak, Minho said evenly. Because you stopped thinking like a leader and started thinking like a husband. Because the family needed you focused, not distracted by some woman who... Jaewon's fist connected with the wall beside Minho's head. Plaster cracked. His knuckles bled. He didn't care. Get out, Jaewon whispered. Hyung, get out. Minho straightened his suit, adjusted his collar, looked at his brother with something almost like pity. She was always going to be a liability, he said quietly. I did what I had to do. For you. For the family. You destroyed my family, Jaewon said. You destroyed everything. Minho left without another word, and Jaewon stood there, bleeding, shaking, drowning in the weight of what he'd done, what he'd believed, what he'd lost. The next morning he returned to her apartment. This time he didn't knock. He waited. Across the street, in his car, watching. At 9 a.m., the door opened. Soo Min emerged, carefully carrying the twins in a double stroller. She wore a simple coat. Her hair was down. She looked tired. So tired. But she smiled softly at the babies as she adjusted their blankets. Jaewon's heart clenched. She walked down the street toward a small park 2 blocks away. He followed. She sat on a bench beneath a tree, gently rocking the stroller. The morning sun filtered through the branches, casting soft light over her face. She looked peaceful, calm, like she'd built a quiet life without him, a life that didn't need him. Jaewon approached slowly. She saw him before he reached her. Her body tensed. Her hand moved protectively to the stroller. I'm not here to fight, he said quietly, stopping a few feet away. I need to talk to you. There's nothing to talk about. There's everything to talk about. He took a breath. I know the truth. About the photos, the lies. My brother, he set you up. He fabricated everything. And I believed him. I didn't believe you. Soo Min stared at him. No tears, no anger. Just nothing. You're 9 months too late, she said softly. I know. You called me a liar. I know. You left me when I needed you most. I know. His voice cracked. I know, Soo Min, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make up for it. But please, please don't shut me out. They're my children. I want to... No. The word was final. Absolute. She stood, gripping the stroller handle. You made your choice, she said. You chose your family over me. You chose their lies over my truth. And now you want to come back because you found out about the twins? She shook her head. That's not love, Jaewon. That's guilt. It's not, go home. She started walking. Sign the papers. Move on. We'll be fine without you. Soo-min. She stopped, turned, and looked at him with eyes that held no hope. You already lost us, she whispered. The moment you walked away, you lost us. And you don't get us back just because you finally decided to believe me. She walked away, and Jae-won stood there, watching her disappear, knowing she was right, but unable to let go. 3 days passed. Jae-won didn't leave. He didn't approach her again. But he didn't leave. Every morning, Soo-min took the twins to the park. Every morning, Jae-won watched from across the street. She knew he was there. He knew she knew. Neither of them acknowledged it. On the 4th day, rain returned, soft at first, then heavier. Soo-min stood under the awning of a small cafe near her apartment, the stroller sheltered beside her. She checked her phone, frowned. The rain wasn't stopping. A black car pulled up to the curb. The back door opened. Jae-won stepped out, holding an umbrella. Get in, he said quietly. No. You'll get sick. So will they. We'll be fine. Soo-min? I said no. He looked at her. Really looked at her. At the exhaustion etched into her face. The way her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the stroller. The shadows under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and solo feedings, and a body still recovering from nearly dying. She was struggling, and she'd never ask him for help. Please, he said softly. Just let me drive you home. I don't need your help. I know. His voice broke. But I need to give it. Please. Just this once. Soo-min hesitated. The rain poured harder. One of the twins stirred, began to fuss. She closed her eyes. Fine, she whispered. Just home. That's it. That's it. She pushed the stroller toward the car. Jae-won opened the door wider, helped her carefully lift the twins inside. She settled them in the car seats he'd had installed that morning, the ones she didn't know about yet. Premium. Safe. Perfectly adjusted. She noticed. Said nothing. They drove in silence. The city blurred past the rain-streaked windows. The soft hum of the engine. The gentle breathing of the babies. The unbearable space between them. I'm sorry, Jae-won said quietly. Soo-min didn't respond. I know it doesn't fix anything, he continued. I know saying it 1,000 times won't undo what I did. But I need you to know I was wrong. About everything. And I'm sorry. You broke me, she said. Her voice was barely audible. You looked at me like I was nothing. Like everything we had meant nothing. And you just left. I know. I was pregnant with your children. I was terrified, alone. And I couldn't tell you because you'd already decided I was a liar. I know. So why are you here? Her voice cracked. Why now? Why do you suddenly care? Because I never stopped. She turned to him. Tears streamed down her face. You don't get to say that, she whispered. You don't get to act like you loved me when you destroyed me. I did love you, Jae-won said. His own eyes burned. I do love you. I was a fool. I let them poison me. I let my pride destroy us. But I never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second. Then you don't know what love is. The car stopped. They were outside her apartment. Soo-min wiped her eyes, collected herself, reached for the door handle. Wait. Jae-won's hand hovered near hers. Not touching, not daring. Let me help you upstairs. With the twins. Please. She looked at him, at the man who had once been everything, who had become nothing, who was begging for a chance to be something again. One time, she said. This one time. Then you leave. Okay. He helped her carry the twins upstairs. The apartment was small. Clean, modest. Nothing like the luxury they'd shared when they were married. She'd clearly been surviving on very little. Independence bought with dignity. Jae-won's chest ached. She placed the twins in a bassinet near the window. They slept soundly, tiny fists curled against their cheeks. She stood there for a moment, watching them. Her expression softened, full of love, full of the strength he'd underestimated. "They're beautiful," Jae-won said quietly. "I know." "What are their names?" Soo-min hesitated, then softly, "Ji-hoon and Mi-sun." "Ji-hoon, Mi-sun." He repeated the name silently. "His son, his daughter." "Thank you," he whispered, "for telling me." She turned to face him. "This doesn't change anything," she said. "You're their biological father. That's a fact. But you're not their dad. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I want to be. Wanting isn't enough. Then tell me what is." He stepped closer. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel. "Tell me what I have to do. I'll do anything, anything, Soo-min." "You can't undo what you did. I know. You can't make me trust you again. I'll earn it. You can't." Her voice broke. "You can't just come back and expect me to forgive you." "I don't expect anything." Jae-won's voice was raw, honest. "I don't deserve forgiveness. I don't deserve you. But I'm asking anyway. Because I can't walk away again. I can't breathe without you. I can't live knowing my children are growing up without me. So I'm begging you, give me a chance. Just one chance." Soo-min stared at him. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks. "You hurt me," she whispered. "I know. You destroyed me. I know. And you think you can fix it?" "No." Jae-won's own tears fell. "But I'll spend my life trying." Silence, long, heavy. Then, "One chance," Soo-min said quietly. "One. You don't get to hurt me again. You don't get to hurt them. You prove to me you've changed. You prove to me you're worth the risk. I will. And if you fail, I won't." "If you fail," she repeated firmly, "you walk away. Forever. No second chances. No more begging. You let us go." Jae-won nodded. "I won't fail," he said. Soo-min looked at him. At the man she'd loved. The man who'd broken her. The man who might, just might, be worth one more chance. "Prove it," she whispered. And for the first time in 9 months, Jae-won felt something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. Jae-won kept his promise. He showed up. Every single day. Not as the powerful crime lord who controlled half the city's underground. As a man trying to be a father. The first week was awkward. Soo-min let him visit for an hour each afternoon. He'd sit in the small living room while she fed the twins, changed them, rocked them to sleep. He didn't touch them at first, just watched, learning their rhythms, their cries, the way Ji-hoon scrunched his nose when he was hungry, the way Mi-sun's tiny hand would reach for light. He brought things, diapers, formula, baby clothes in soft colors. Soo-min accepted them without comment. She didn't thank him. She didn't need to. This was his responsibility, not a favor. By the second week, she let him hold them. Ji-hoon first. Jae-won's hands trembled as Soo-min placed the baby boy in his arms. So small, so fragile. Completely dependent, trusting without question. "Support his head," Soo-min said quietly. Jae-won adjusted his hold. Ji-hoon blinked up at him with dark, unfocused eyes, made a small sound, then settled against his chest. Something inside Jae-won shattered and rebuilt itself all at once. This was his son. His. And he'd almost never known him. "Hey," he whispered. His voice shook. "Hey, Ji-hoon." I'm your dad." The word felt foreign, sacred, terrifying. Ji-hoon yawned. Soo-min almost smiled. Almost. By the third week, things shifted. Jae-won started staying longer, helping with night feedings, learning how to change diapers without fumbling. He'd arrive at 6 p.m. and stay until midnight, taking shifts so Soo-min could sleep. She was still exhausted, still recovering, still guarded, but she was softening, just a little. One night, Mi-sun wouldn't stop crying. Nothing worked. Bottle refused. Diaper clean. Not too hot. Not too cold. Just inconsolable, tiny wails that broke both their hearts. "Give her to me," Jaewon said. Sumin hesitated, then handed her over. Jaewon held Mi-sun against his chest. Began to hum. Low. Rhythmic. A melody he didn't know he remembered. Something his own mother used to sing when he was young, before the family business consumed everything. Mi-sun's cries quieted. Her little fist curled into his shirt. She fell asleep. Sumin stared at him. "Where did you learn that?" "I didn't," Jaewon said softly. "I just tried." Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition. The man she'd fallen in love with. The one she thought was gone forever. "Jaewon," she said quietly. He looked up. "You're good at this." It was the first compliment she'd given him in 9 months. It felt like sunlight after endless winter. But the outside world wasn't so forgiving. Jaewon's absence from the organization hadn't gone unnoticed. Meetings postponed, deals delayed, territory disputes ignored. His family was furious. His father summoned him. Jaewon sat across from the old man in the family's private office, a room that smelled of cigars and old power. His father's expression was stone. Cold, disappointed. "You've been distracted," his father said. "I've been present," Jaewon corrected. "For my children. Children from a woman you divorced. Children I abandoned." Jaewon's voice was steady. "Children I'm not abandoning again." His father leaned forward. "You have responsibilities. To this family, to the organization. You don't get to play house while empires crumble. Then let them crumble." Silence. His father's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You would throw away everything we built? For her?" "For them," Jaewon said. "For my son, my daughter. For the family I should have protected from the beginning." "You're weak." "No." Jaewon stood. "I was weak when I listened to you. When I let Minho poison me against the woman I loved. When I chose power over the only thing that ever mattered. I'm not making that mistake again. If you walk away from this family..." "I'm not walking away," Jaewon said. "I'm choosing differently. I'll handle the business. I'll fulfill my responsibilities. But my children come first. Soo-min comes first. And if you can't accept that, then we have nothing left to discuss." He left without being dismissed. For the first time in his life. He returned to Soo-min's apartment that night, later than usual. She was awake, feeding Mi-sun on the couch. She looked up when he entered, saw something in his face. "What happened?" "Nothing I can't handle." "Jaewon..." "My family knows about the twins," he said quietly. He sat beside her. Not touching, just close. "They're not happy I'm spending time here." Soo-min's expression hardened. "Of course they're not. I told them it doesn't matter." She looked at him. Really looked. "You stood up to them?" "Yes." "For us?" "For you, for Ji-hoon and Mi-sun, for the family I'm trying to rebuild." Soo-min's eyes glistened. "They'll come after me," she said softly. "Your family, they'll try to..." "They won't." Jaewon's voice was iron. "I won't let them. I'll protect you, all of you. I swear it. You can't fight your whole family. Watch me." Soo-min stared at him, at the determination in his eyes, the man who once chose them over her, now choosing her over them. "Why?" she whispered. "Why now? Why does it matter so much?" Jaewon reached out slowly, carefully, his hand hovering near hers. She didn't pull away. He took her hand, gently. "Because I lost you once," he said. His voice broke. "And I've been dead ever since. I didn't know it. I kept moving, kept working, kept pretending I was fine. But I was dead inside. And then I saw you with them, with our children. And I realized, this is what being alive feels like. This is what matters. not power, not control, not the empire. Just you. Just them. Just this. A tear slipped down Sumin's cheek. You hurt me so much, she whispered. I know. I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. I'll earn it, every day, for the rest of my life. And if your family makes you choose, I already chose. Sumin looked down at their joined hands, at the man who destroyed her, the man who was trying, desperately, honestly, to piece her back together. One day at a time, she said softly. One day at a time, he agreed. And for the first time since he'd walked back into her life, Sumin let herself hope. Just a little. The threat came 3 weeks later. Jaewon arrived at Sumin's apartment to find her door slightly ajar. His blood turned to ice. He pushed it open slowly. Sumin. Silence. Then, crying. The twins. He rushed inside. Sumin was on the couch, holding Ji-hoon and Mi-sun tightly against her chest. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. On the coffee table in front of her sat a single white envelope. No name, no address. Just an envelope. Jaewon's jaw clenched. What is that? Read it, she whispered. He picked it up, opened it. Inside was a photograph of Sumin, walking with the twins, taken yesterday, from across the street. And beneath the photo, a message in clean typed letters. They're beautiful. It would be a shame if something happened to them. Jaewon's vision blurred red. His hands crushed the paper. Who? I don't know. Sumin's voice trembled. It was slipped under the door this morning. No one was there when I opened it. Jaewon pulled out his phone. Dialed. Get to Sumin's apartment. Now. Full security detail. No one gets within a block of this building. He hung up, turned to her. Pack a bag, he said quietly. You and the twins, you're coming with me. Jaewon. Now Sumin. She saw the look in his eyes. The cold, lethal fury of the man who ruled the underground. The man who protected what was his. She nodded. Within an hour, Sumin and the twins were in Jaewon's penthouse, 60 floors above the city, security on every entrance, cameras everywhere, guards stationed discreetly on every floor, impenetrable. Sumin stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, holding Mi-sun while Ji-hoon slept in a bassinet nearby. The city stretched endlessly below. Beautiful. Cold. Dangerous. This is temporary, Jaewon said, approaching carefully. Until I find out who sent that message. You know who sent it, Sumin said quietly. He didn't deny it. My family wouldn't. Your brother would. She turned to face him. He set me up once. You think he won't do worse now? Now that you're choosing us over them? Jaewon's silence was answer enough. I'll handle it. How? Sumin's voice cracked. How do you handle your own blood threatening your children? By making sure they understand the consequences. There was something in his voice. Something dark. Something that reminded her exactly who Jaewon was. What he was capable of. Don't, she whispered. He looked at her. Don't do something you can't come back from, she said. Don't become the man I can't let near my children. Our children, he corrected softly. And I would never let anything happen to them. To you. Even if it costs me everything. That's what I'm afraid of. Jaewon stepped closer, close enough to touch. But he didn't. He just stood there, a breath away, eyes locked on hers. I made a promise, he said, to protect you, to earn your trust, to be the father they deserve. I won't break that promise, no matter what. Even if it means going against your family? Especially then. Sumin's eyes filled with tears. I don't want you to get hurt because of us. I'm already hurt, Jaewon said. His voice broke. I've been hurt since the day I walked away from you. This, being here, with you, with them, this is the first time I've felt whole in 9 months. So no, I'm not letting anyone take that away. Not my family. Not anyone. Sumin closed her eyes, felt the weight of his words, the truth of them. What do we do? She whispered. We stay here, where it's safe, and I end this. Jaewon, trust me. He finally reached out, cupped her face gently. Please, trust me. She looked at him, at the man she'd loved, lost, was learning to love again. One more chance, she whispered. That's all you get. That's all I need. Jaewon called a family meeting, not at the family estate, at neutral ground. A private room in a restaurant the organization owned. Quiet, secure. Witnessed by enough people to prevent violence, but private enough for truth. His father arrived first, then his mother, then Minho. They sat across from him. A family divided. You summoned us, his father said coldly. This better be worth our time. Jaewon placed the photograph on the table, the one of Sumin and the twins. His mother's face paled slightly. His father's expression didn't change. Minho stared at it without blinking. Someone threatened my children, Jaewon said quietly. Someone took this photo. Someone left a message telling me it would be a shame if something happened to them. Silence. I want to know who. Why are you asking us? His father said. Because they're the only ones with reason to want Sumin and the twins gone. Jaewon's voice was ice. Because they're the only ones who see my children as a threat instead of a blessing. You're bastards, Minho said coldly. Born from a woman you divorced. A woman who has no place in this family. Jaewon's hand slammed onto the table. The sound cracked through the room. They are my children, he said, each word a blade. And if anyone touches them, threatens them, or so much as breathes wrong near them, I will burn this entire organization to the ground. His father leaned back. You would destroy everything we built? For them? Without hesitation. You're a fool. No. Jaewon stood. I was a fool when I listened to you. When I let Minho manipulate me. When I chose this family over the only family that ever mattered. But I'm not that man anymore. So I'm giving you one chance. One warning. Stay away from Sumin. Stay away from my children. Or you'll find out exactly what kind of man I've become. He turned to leave. You'll regret this, Minho said. Jaewon stopped, looked back over his shoulder. The only thing I regret, he said quietly, is not doing this 9 months ago. He walked out and didn't look back. 3 months later, Sumin stood in the nursery of their new home. Not Jaewon's penthouse, not her small apartment. Their home. A house on the outskirts of the city. Quiet. Safe. Surrounded by trees and sunlight. Far from the noise. Far from the danger. Far from the world that had tried to tear them apart. Ji-hoon and Mi-sun slept peacefully in their cribs. Bigger now, stronger, growing impossibly fast. Ji-hoon had Jaewon's serious expression even in sleep. Mi-sun had her smile. Sumin reached down, gently brushing her fingers over Mi-sun's soft cheek. They're perfect, a voice said softly. She turned. Jaewon stood in the doorway, watching her with an expression she'd seen more and more lately. Peace. They are, she agreed. He crossed the room, stood beside her. Together, they watched their children sleep. I never thought I'd have this, Jaewon said quietly. A family, a real one. I thought power was enough. Control, respect. But it was all empty. Sumin took his hand. It's not empty anymore. He looked at her, at the woman he'd lost, found again, loved more deeply than he knew was possible. I don't deserve you, he whispered. No, Sumin said, a small smile on her lips. But you're trying, every day, and that's enough. Jaewon pulled her close, rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he said. I never stopped, and I never will. I know. She closed her eyes. I love you too. They stood there, in the quiet, in the peace. In the family they'd built from ashes. The break from his family had been absolute, final, irreversible. Jaewon stepped down from leadership 2 months after the threat, handed control to a trusted associate outside the bloodline, someone competent, loyal, but not family. He kept enough connections to ensure protection, enough influence to keep threats away from Soo-min and the twins. But the empire was no longer his to rule. His father disowned him in a single conversation. Cold, formal, final. You've made your choice, the old man had said. You are no longer my son. Jaewon had felt nothing. No grief, no anger, no regret, just relief. His mother cried, begged him to reconsider, to come back, to remember his duty. But Jaewon's duty was elsewhere now, to the 2 tiny humans sleeping in the nursery, to the woman who'd given him a second chance he didn't deserve. Minho disappeared entirely. No calls, no messages, no threats, just silence. Jaewon remained vigilant anyway. He always would. Because trust was earned, and his brother had proven exactly who he was. But for now, peace. Jaewon started a legitimate business within weeks of leaving the organization, security consulting, using his intimate knowledge of the underground, the networks, the threats, the patterns, to help corporations and high-profile individuals protect themselves. Legal, clean, surprisingly lucrative. He was good at it, better than he'd expected. Turns out, understanding how criminals think made him exceptional at stopping them. Within 6 months, his client list included 3 Fortune 500 companies and 2 government agencies. His reputation grew, not as a crime lord's son, but as the man who'd walked away from power to build something honest. It felt strange, good strange, like breathing clean air after years underground. Soo-min supported him quietly, never doubting, never second-guessing, just believing in the man he was becoming. She returned to school that fall, finished her degree in social work, something she'd abandoned when they'd gotten married, when Jaewon's world had consumed hers. Now she reclaimed it. She started working part-time at a women's shelter, helping survivors of abuse, offering them the strength she'd had to find in herself, using her pain to heal others. Jaewon was so proud of her he could barely speak when she told him about her first day. You're incredible, he'd said, holding her close. You know that? I learned from the best, she'd whispered back. I learned how to survive, how to rebuild, how to choose myself. I'm sorry you had to learn that because of me. I'm not. She pulled back, looked him in the eyes. I'm not sorry anymore, Jaewon, because it brought me here, to this life, to us, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. He kissed her then, soft, gentle, reverent, like she was the most precious thing in the world, because she was. They built routines, simple, ordinary, beautiful. Mornings started with the twins. Ji-hoon woke first, always, fussing softly until someone picked him up. Mi-sun slept later, peaceful and content, until her brother's sounds woke her too. Jaewon handled morning duty most days. He'd change them, feed them, talk to them softly while Soo-min grabbed a few extra minutes of sleep. Your mama's a superhero, he'd whisper to Ji-hoon. Did you know that? She's the strongest person I've ever met. Ji-hoon would blink up at him with solemn eyes. You're going to grow up and protect people, Jaewon continued. Just like her, you're going to be kind and brave and nothing like I was. Mi-sun would gurgle happily from her crib. And you, Jaewon would say, lifting her gently. You're going to change the world, I can already tell. She'd grab his finger with her tiny fist, and his heart would shatter and rebuild all over again. Evenings were for family, dinner together, no phones, no work, just them. Soo-min would cook while Jaewon played with the twins on a blanket in the living room. They'd laugh, make messes, be beautifully, chaotically normal. After the twins went to bed, Jaewon and Sumin would sit on the back porch, talking, dreaming, planning. "I want to open my own practice someday," Sumin said one night. "A place specifically for women leaving dangerous situations. Therapy, legal help, job placement, everything in one place." "You'll do it," Jaewon said. "And I'll help however I can." "You already are," she smiled. "You're showing me what changed men look like, what it means to actually do the work. I'm still learning." "We both are." He took her hand. "I love this life," he said quietly. "I love waking up next to you. I love hearing the twins cry at 3 a.m. I love folding laundry and washing bottles and all the mundane, ordinary things I never thought I'd have. I love it all." Sumin leaned her head on his shoulder. "Me too," she whispered. "Me too." On Ji-hoon and Mi-sun's first birthday, they threw a small party. Just them. A few close friends Sumin had made at work. No family, no past, just future. The backyard was decorated with balloons and streamers. A small cake sat on the table, messy, homemade, made with love. The twins sat in high chairs wearing matching outfits. Ji-hoon looked suspicious of the cake. Mi-sun reached for it immediately. "Ready?" Sumin laughed, holding up her phone to record. Jaewon stood beside her, grinning wider than she'd ever seen. "Ready?" They placed the cake in front of the twins. Mi-sun grabbed a fistful and shoved it directly into her mouth, frosting everywhere. Pure joy on her face. Ji-hoon touched it cautiously, tasted a tiny bit, then decided it was acceptable and joined his sister in destruction. Everyone laughed. Jaewon recorded every second, his eyes shining. "This is perfect," he said softly. "It really is," Sumin agreed. Later, after everyone left and the twins were bathed and asleep, Jaewon and Sumin cleaned up together, washing dishes, picking up wrapping paper, moving in comfortable silence. "Thank you," Jaewon said suddenly. Sumin looked at him. "For what?" "For giving me this, for believing I could be better, for letting me be their father." She set down the dish she was holding, walked over to him, cupped his face in her hands. "You earned this," she said firmly. "Every single day. You showed up. You did the work. You proved you meant every word. So don't thank me. This is yours because you fought for it." His eyes filled with tears. "I love you so much," he whispered. "I love you too." He kissed her. Deep, grateful, full of everything they'd survived, everything they'd become. Years passed. Ji-hoon and Mi-sun grew. They learned to walk, to talk, to ask a million questions. "Daddy, why is the sky blue?" "Mama, where do butterflies sleep? Can we get a puppy?" Jaewon and Sumin answered every question with patience and love. They never spoke about the past, about the organization, about the family that had tried to destroy them. The twins grew up knowing only safety, only love, only parents who chose each other every single day. Ji-hoon grew serious and protective, always watching out for his sister, always asking if Mama needed help. Mi-sun grew bright and fearless, dancing through life with confidence and joy. They were perfect, and they were loved beyond measure. One evening, when the twins were 5, Sumin found Jaewon in their bedroom. He was holding something. An old photograph. From their wedding day. They looked so young, so hopeful, so unaware of the pain that was coming. "I found this in a box," he said quietly. "I forgot I'd kept it." Sumin sat beside him, looked at the photo. "We were so different then," she said. "We were." He looked at her. "Do you ever wish we could go back? Do it differently?" She thought about it, really thought, then shook her head. "No," she said, "because going back means we'd miss everything we learned, everything we became. The pain made us stronger. It made us real. You don't regret any of it?" I regret the pain, she said honestly, but I don't regret where it brought us. I don't regret this life, this family, this love. Jaewon set the photo down, pulled her close. You're extraordinary, he whispered. We're extraordinary, she corrected. Together. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Forever, he promised. Forever, she agreed. Downstairs, Jihoon and Mi-sun played with their toys. Safe. Happy. Loved. Growing up in a home built on second chances. On forgiveness. On the truth that people can change if they're willing to do the work. On the promise that love, real love, is worth fighting for. And in that home, surrounded by light and laughter and healing, a family thrived. Not perfect, but real, and that was more than enough. The end.